why are you barefoot on the podcast?
Bro, it's not on the camera. I checked already, so it's fine.
No, low key, you should actually make sure it's in the podcast so we get those foot fetish views.
No, it's fine. I think
I
it's
doubt
fine.
anyone would like guy foots, bro. Like, guys are
I don't know,
retarded,
bro.
bro, mentally. It's like, you may actually like female foot, but I don't see someone finding male feet sexually attractive.
Like women.
Yeah, women.
Well, other guys might find it attractive. You never know, bro.
Damn, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep them on. Keep them on.
Keep them on. Anyway, you wanted to share a story, and this is the sole reason why we're doing this podcast. So go for it, son.
I hope this comes out nicely. 'Cause
Okay, yeah.
If it isn't, then we
He's
may
been
as well-
hyping this up the whole week. So
More than a week.
Good.
More than a
2
week
weeks
at this
now.
point. Yeah.
So my company is acquired by our parent company. We had a BD event for the merger.
Yeah.
BD. What's
BD is
BD?
business development.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So select few people from my company were invited to go to this nightclub
Yeah.
and interact with the new colleagues.
What a interesting place to do
At
a
a
deal, bro.
nightclub.
It's like an IV, so it's just one of the ballrooms
Okay,
in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So it
yeah.
wasn't
Social club. Yeah.
social club.
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. So I never wear suits usually to work. I'll wear a shirt with a jumper on.
Yeah.
But this day I was dressed up, did my thing. So did the other guys.
Yeah.
So in my company, like people really don't need to come to office, but today everyone was in, and I see this guy. He was wearing a really nice navy suit, white shirt, navy pants. Looks baller.
Yeah, that's my go-to as well. Yeah.
Your one's kind of cheap. His was expensive. So before actually when everyone was in the lunch area watching football, I think Australia were playing that day.
Yeah.
In the morning, 6 a.m. and they were having pre-drinks.
6 a.m. at Ivy?
No. So this was same day, but
Yeah.
they were showing the highlights of the game. So everyone was in the room, in the lunchroom, watching
Yeah,
the game
okay,
highlights,
the
having
stats.
drinks,
Yeah.
just chit-chatting. And I see this guy, the same guy I was talking about. We were just talking about soccer. Then I see he has got runners on
On a suit.
on a suit.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, where are you running to?
Yeah.
He didn't get it. So I had to
Explain it.
in my mind, I
yeah.
think it was funny.
Yeah.
And everyone was laughing. I was like, no, bro, where are you running? What is just, he just laughed off. But he wasn't really appreciative of the whole joke.
Yeah.
Now, 3-4 minutes go past, and like we would go back to our tables to bring up our bags.
Yeah.
And I see him stumbling a bit. I'm like, I understand now, bro. All good. What happened to your feet? He said, bro, mate, of course, no one says bro in
Yeah.
white
Yeah.
settings.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, I had this condition since I was a kid. I was like, sorry. How can I review the
What was the
situation?
condition?
He had some condition. So he walked like,
You've never met this guy before.
I've never met this before.
Okay.
I've never seen him walking until
You just see him sitting at his chair.
sitting
all
at a
day.
chair, and like we were just standing up actually.
Yeah.
And so when he started walking back and he's got this whole
Yeah.
walking condition, I'm like, I understand now you may have an injury, and he says, bro, I have this condition since I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even apologize.
You
Yeah.
just made fun of a disabled guy.
Differently abled. So yeah, that was my story. I hope it was funny, but
No, but like, what did you, like, you walked away after that?
so I tried to say something that is nice, and
Yeah.
I didn't mean it that way, but me acknowledging would be messed up too in my mind. I was like, I'll just talk about
I
something
think for
different.
your sake, the less you say is the better,
Yeah.
because like he could have messed up the situation.
Yeah, so I was
even
like,
more.
I'll just start talking about soccer and
Yeah.
next game.
Anyway, talking about soccer, didn't this happen to you as well? You told us
Yeah.
about the.
This was I've accidentally also.
No,
really
don't give
made
it away.
fun.
Tell the story. Then, yeah.
All right. So essentially, I was working at a clinic as a receptionist, right? And the person that comes in the clinic, it's a person in a wheelchair and her
Carer.
assistant or
Yeah,
carer or
yeah.
handler, whatever it is, right? And then I book their appointment, or I check them in, confirm their appointment, blah blah blah. I do all of that, right? And then it comes to the point where it's like, okay, I'm done with you. You need to do whatever you have to do. So I'm like, all right, thank you. Please take your seat.
Yeah.
And I motion towards the waiting room, and then it clicks in me what I just said, and I look at her, and you can see she's also realized.
Yeah.
And we're just looking at each other, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't want to acknowledge the awkward moment.
Yeah.
And
Um,
why couldn't she take a seat?
Huh? Because she was in a wheelchair.
Bro, I'm slow.
No,
So
but
on
you
the-
could have been speaking to the carer, maybe.
No, I was speaking.
Okay.
I was literally looking at her. And then we
You-
just had this awkward,
Yeah.
stare at each other for
Yeah.
2 seconds, and then she turned, and rolled away.
These awkward situations, and in work is more magnified because you kind of act different at work. Like you have a different personality.
Yeah.
You have to act all proper, and
Yeah.
you don't know what the humor of another person
Exactly,
is. Yeah.
yeah.
Unless you know them well.
So I'm not sure if the guy still works there, but in Thornley McDonald's, they had a corporate social responsibility thing where they had people with deformities and like, Down syndrome working.
Yeah, okay.
I used to work in McDonald's and I was like pretty funny guy.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named, anyways.
Anyways,
And,
yeah.
he had a stub hand.
Like,
He
at what point was it a stub? Was it like here?
like
or
it's around here. So he didn't have fingers. or
Like a
anything.
claw?
No, nothing. Like,
Okay.
He had like a
no, just like a stump, bro.
stump.
Okay. Oh, like there was. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Circle.
So it wasn't like he had something on top
Yeah.
of the. Okay,
So he
yeah.
couldn't work in the kitchen area, but his responsibility was like clean the tables, put the bin back and stuff. Now when he used to do it, I don't know if you've been to Thornley McDonald's, but you can do
Yeah.
it through external areas. But some days, for some reason, he was walking you through the kitchen area.
Yeah.
Now this is a busy place. You don't usually have to do this. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, do you need a hand? I knew what I was saying, but I
You
thought
did it on purpose.
I did it on purpose. But everyone picked it up, and bro,
Yeah.
some of the guys were laughing,
Yeah.
but some of them were like, bro, too far.
Yeah.
How did he react though?
I think he was used to it,
Yeah.
or something. He just walked away,
Yeah.
and I'm fine, thank you. But the other guys were like, bro, this is too far.
But one time at my work, there was this guy who had just started. He had started 2 weeks, and we did work on a project. So he didn't have enough time to contribute to the project.
Yeah.
But on the front page of the the report that we put together, his name was the first at the top, and somehow editing made it so like the other names that were on it, they were like in a smaller lettering, right? So the boss calls a big meeting one day and then says I want to acknowledge one piece of work which I think was amazing, and he gives the all the congratulations to this one guy. He's only been around 2 weeks, right? This guy doesn't have it in himself to correct him, right?
Yeah.
So for the next month, bro, he's just oh, I love the job that you did on that project, and he doesn't have it in him to correct it. One day, one of the guys whose
Is
name
he
was
enjoying
below,
it now? Or?
yeah, he was enjoying it, he was getting all the praise or whatever. The guy who was second in line, one day he just goes up to the boss and says, I think you have mistaken. He didn't actually work on this project.
Yeah,
He just came in
yeah.
new. And then the boss got cut by it. He's I've been praising him around. He hasn't corrected me once. What is this? Is this guy just taking all the
Yeah,
credit for no
yeah.
reason? And then it's I know, I think he's just being awkward. But the boss got so cut, he was I don't want him to work on the project anymore. And got rid of him and stuff. And I'm it wasn't his fault, but at the same time, the guy could have just corrected him and said,
No, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
difficult. Even I'll tell you a story and then I'll ask what you guys would do. I'll tell you a couple stories.
yeah,
So my first story is my name's a very unique name. It's very uncommon. I think I've met maybe one person in Australia.
I've
with
got
the
a
same
funny
name.
story for his name too.
yeah,
All right, and then it's commonly mistaken, if misheard, for another white name, right?
right.
And so I wasn't a part of this conversation, but someone I don't really work with was on the phone with another person I don't really work with, and they called me the name. So I'm gonna go with Fred, for example.
Yeah,
So they said Fred, right? And then on an email, she would have the initial person would have used my name correctly,
Yeah.
but over the phone he probably heard it something else.
Yeah.
It's Fred, right? And then in follow-up email he writes, "Oh, if Fred can help us with blah blah blah." Oh shit, that's not my name. And then in my head I'm I won't bother correcting it because I barely know this guy. I'm probably gonna work with him once and
Yeah.
it's over, right? And then I ended up meeting him in person, and he puts out his hand and shakes it, and he's like, "Nice to meet you, Fred." And I was like, shit, do I go along with it or do I not? And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's going to be a day. I'm
Yeah.
not going to see him again. I'm not going to work with him again. I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
going to be Fred for today. And then he introduces me to all his colleagues in this completely different unit. And they're all calling me Fred.
Bro, that's your name on the podcast from
I'm
now on,
just
Fred, bro.
shit. I guess I'm Fred now.
This happened to me. I started the current place I'm working. I started and then I introduced myself. My name, you guys know my
Yeah,
first
yeah.
official name is
Oh, yep.
that, and
It's
then
a very common name.
yeah. So everyone would be like, "Oh, this is such and such starting new," and then the guy was like, "Oh, your name is so common. Obviously you need something unique to describe you by." And then he goes, "Can I call you Momo?" And then it was in front of a lot of people, right? So I didn't have it in me to like say like, nah, actually I don't want that to be called. And then he's like, oh, this is so good. Like I'm like, I love your name, but then Momo sounds funny and like it's cool and stuff. And then everyone just like, oh, you're cool with it? Okay, we're gonna start calling you Momo. And then in every email and like they were introducing me to present something, they're like, okay, Momo, you're up. And then I'm like, I don't want to get up, bro, with the name Momo. And then I have to go up and be like, yeah, so my name is actually this. But affectionately, everyone's calling me Momo for now. Luckily, I changed teams. And then someone else is like, oh, didn't they call you Momo in the other team? I'm like, please don't call me. My name is this from now on. And like, I've had friends who like, they haven't had it in them to correct like their nicknames and then they're just stuck. Anyway, you've been conducting a lot of interviews, you said, of late.
Yes, I have.
Is this
You
for
boys
like,
hiring?
is this because your role has become that?
I've got an advertisement that ends tomorrow, so if anyone's keen.
We can put up the JD
Yeah.
on like on our Trash Talk Experience email and send it across to everyone. But yeah,
One of the reasons why I do a lot of interviews is because there aren't a whole lot of males in health, especially at least in my hospital. There's not a whole lot of males that are decently high in our hospital, right?
what does
I mean,
how does that mean? Like what
Because
males, as in like no nurses, doctors are mostly females.
I don't do a lot of nursing interviews, although I occasionally do it, but more so like management interviews, right? And a lot of them are females, right? And it's hard to find males that are above the pay grade of.
Well, what happened to the patriarchy? Like I thought it was like male dominated.
No, I think his health is very.
So it's gone the opposite way. We need to fight back and get the balance
maybe,
back.
bro, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe. I think because health is a very altruistic field, so a lot of
What
people
does
that
that
do
mean?
health, it means that they're doing it for the goodness
Good.
of what the job is, right?
That's what we're not in it, bro. Yeah.
But anyhow, so I'm one of the and also obviously like the males that are really high are probably too busy to deal with these dumb interviews, right?
Yeah.
So they ask me a lot and a couple of guys from my team a lot, because A, we're independents, we're not within their unit, and B, we're male, and they've usually already got 2 females, so they need another male. I'm sometimes so disappointed, especially with the lower level admin roles. I'm so disappointed in how crap people are at interviewing at that
Like
level.
they don't know how to speak to people and stuff like that.
Like just
like what makes interview bad?
just the general etiquette. Like we have this person that I would see them pop up in a lot of admin interviews, right? So they obviously had the resume, but in their interview, it would be a dark lit room. It'd be like
Online, they're interviewing.
yeah.
Video
It would be a
interview.
dark lit. Sorry, this is Zoom interviews.
Yeah.
Dark lit room. The camera would cut off like everything except like right there. You could barely see her face. It's some weird background. Looked like a garage or messy messy study behind. Like it was just like a terrible sort of.
Not good for the first impression.
And that's the easiest thing to do. The easiest thing you can do in an interview is dress up nicely, make your surroundings look really nice, even just a blank wall or whatever. It's not that difficult.
Well, I think there's a lot of bias. As long as you present yourself well and like if you're doing video interviews, as he's saying, like the background looks good,
Yeah.
more than likely people would just be like, oh yeah, that was a pleasant
Exactly.
person to
That's
speak to,
like-
and they'll hire you.
That's like the basic thing you got to do. And when
Yeah.
someone doesn't do that, it's like, all right, should I be worried?
Well, I've
like
had
straight off the
I
bat.
interviewed once where a person left midway through the interview.
Yeah.
And the way this happened was we were doing like the pleasantries and just like the general behavioral questions and stuff, and they were perfect. Like answering every question, star method, all that, everything
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Like, oh, I would do this, I would do that. Or I've been in tough situations,
Yeah.
this is how I handle them. Came to like, oh yeah, now we need to ask you technical questions about the role that you're applying for. And then we asked the first one. They're like, oh, actually, can I please go to the toilet? And then they got up. We never saw them again. Bro, and we're like,
They left the meeting or they just left?
they left the office. Like they didn't come back to do the rest of the interview.
What the hell?
And then we didn't see them. And then we're like, let's like ask them like, was it an emergency? Could be anything, right? So we gave them the benefit of the doubt. Send them out an email, no reply for like a week. Send them another email, said like, oh, we would like to continue conversation. We don't know what happened from your end. And then we found out 6 months later, they applied for another role, straight rejection, bro. We don't want them to come
What
back.
the
So
hell?
yeah, that's happened as well. Where like people are amazing to talk to, but when it comes to technical skills, they might falter.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time, I'm pretty sure like if you give a good impression, people will just be like, oh yeah, that's a good person. They'll learn.
I
some
think
other
interviews
things.
are easiest thing to do.
Interviews.
Interviews.
You find them easy?
I think I'm good at interviews.
Yeah.
Actual work is
Making
hard.
things up.
So I think I've given you a lot of my first job interview. I think I've told you many a times. My recent interview, I said so much nonsense.
Yeah, just making stuff on
Making
the
stuff
spot.
up. Like I obviously stalked a lot of people's resume. I got
Yeah.
so first thing you need to do is see where are they from. I stalked there from UK and Ireland. I can't talk about rugby.
Yeah.
So I talked about like my dad has worked in UK before. They asked me what soccer team do you support?
Yeah.
I said Chelsea. Chelsea is in a affluent area of London.
Yeah.
So it's like my dad used to study in Kensington.
Well, you trap yourself day one, bro.
No, my dad was. I wasn't studying.
Yeah,
so I have
yeah,
no
yeah.
idea.
But then what if they ask, "Oh, my son's thinking to go to Kensington Uni. Can you ask your dad how he found it?"
This is Google, bro. So this is example. This
Yeah.
is example.
But you stalk their LinkedIn as well.
I
I'm
stalked the
assuming.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
I know what the ethnic background is, and which is pretty easy to do. Because if they're from, in my industry, majority of the people that are very technical are from New Zealand or from Ireland or UK.
Yeah.
So once I see they're not from Australia, I know they actually know the stuff.
Well, this is good about construction because like they're talking about like pleasantries as well, like oh where you from type of questions. Well, I don't get them at all, bro. In
Yeah.
the roles that I'm assuming for you as well, they're just straight to the point type questions.
Well, the roles we're in is because it's public. It's not like there's a standardized set of questions you
Yeah.
have to ask.
Well, they
all
come with
depending
so
on the
much
same
paperwork.
questions.
They're like, okay, tick
Yeah,
things off
man.
type thing. It's not a
Yeah.
conversation at
Yeah.
all.
Whereas
So-
private
So-
is good because you can converse with them. You can talk to them about anything random. Build rapport. For example, just talk about Ireland or some shit. Talk about traveling. If you can get them off topic and just have a conversation, they'll love you.
Yeah, that's not the case with us, bro. So we.
So how does
it's
it
a
work
tra-
for you guys? Like,
So we have a standard like 5 or 6 questions. In my thing,
Yeah.
we have standard 5 or 6 questions. You can't really go away from those questions.
and what are these questions about? Technical skills or personal interview?
Behavioural,
it's up to the interviewer.
technical,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be behavioral and it'll be technical. And then
And if
have
you
to
give
stick
like
to
an
it.
answer which is like off cut or like, oh, actually, I've been to Spain and such, I know you are from there, they'll just be like, oh, no, can you please get back to the point?
Yeah.
They can stop you and stuff.
I don't think that's a good metric to hire people. Maybe
Ooh. This is why you got hired, bro.
Yeah,
And this is
because-
why you're struggling.
Because it's
I'm not
public, there's
struggling,
so
bro.
many
Okay.
policies and stuff to ensure that it's fair and equitable for everyone. So I don't agree with it. I love private interviews, but that's just how it is in public.
the hardest interview personally I've done is for Combank, and they had to sell clothes, bro.
Clothes.
Sell
Yeah, so
clothes.
so this was like a customer service representative interview. I did it in like 2016, straight out of high school, and I used to work in Macca's back then. So I did my night shift. Went to Combank in Rhodes.
Yeah.
And they put some clothes down on the table and asked me to sell it. And
Oh, bro, I hate
I
these
was like-
like nonsensical, like, you know,
You had that really crazy one.
yeah, like, like, oh, can you describe the color red to a blind person? What the hell? What is it gonna show? One, it shows like, oh, like, is this person gonna falter? Maybe, but it's got nothing to do with what I'm hiring, like what you're hiring for. Like, what did you do? Like, did you sell them the clothes?
I doubt, bro, anyone would buy it off me.
No, but you were like just making stuff up, right?
What was it? Was it a sales role or something? What was it?
Customer service representative. So like, if you call me,
That's customer service.
no, but that is just like a telephone role.
Like
What does that
cold
do?
calling people?
No, like so if someone calls Combank,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the one that picks up the phone.
So what the hell does that have to do with selling?
Clothes. I don't know exactly.
Like if I get it, like so, like you
No,
sort of
but-
get it, but then it's
No,
like,
but thing is, bro, like selling is easy if you know what you're selling exactly
Yeah.
and what's the purpose for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've worked in many retail places over
Yeah.
the years, and I'm good at it. Like being honest and getting people
Yeah.
to buy stuff.
Yeah.
But this is just useless stuff.
Yeah.
I guess they test for confidence.
Yeah,
and
that's
like all
the thing
that
that they're
stuff.
testing for essentially. Like, say they ask that question.
And I failed.
If I just go, I don't know how to answer that, then they're like, okay, this guy can't even like falters under pressure, can't even like put two words together.
Yeah.
At least try type of thing.
Yeah.
Like when they have like the assessment centers, when they like put you in groups and then they're like, okay, you have to make the one that they do is like
I
the
hate
pasta
group
one.
work.
Have you seen
Yeah.
that one?
No.
Where they give you like pasta, non-cooked pasta, and they're like, oh, make a bridge out of it. Like, you know how you construction,
Yeah.
like construction 101, they're probably like,
I
oh,
did the same thing.
yeah, I'm like, you make it, but then they
But-
try to pick like, oh, this guy is dominating. He's like bossing everyone around. This guy is not even having any input. That's how they
Like,
assess
do you
you.
want to be bossy in that situation or?
Nah, you always want to be the constructive feedback person. Not the person who's constantly just saying, you know, or do this. Then you come across
Bro,
as
like
an
I don't want to
idiot.
listen to this random guy that I met 40 minutes ago
Yeah.
telling me how to do
Whenever
stuff.
we do group work stuff as well, I'm just like it sounds bad, but I'm just not bothered to deal with a full group and to deal with everyone's sort of fake personality. 'Cause
Yeah.
essentially in interviews, you're a fake personality, right?
Yeah.
I
Yo-
can be super bossy and dominant in that group if I wanted to be, but I don't want to be because that's like not something I'm bothered to
But
put effort
from
into.
what I heard from you guys, you can't be really honest and personable in a government interview. You have to be.
You can't show
Putting
your
up
like
a s-
personality at all. There's very limited space. Like you might be
There's
able to do
limited
it when
space.
you walk in and say hello to them, or
Uh-huh.
when you're walking out. That's about it. While in the interview, you have to stick to like what the questions being
Yeah.
asked.
I would struggle in that environment.
No, but like
though.
I've done interviews outside. Like I went for this one role similar to you, like straight out of like high school, like first year uni, trying to get this role. And then the guy, it was like a scam type organization. I later found out.
Like,
So it was one of those.
Do
like,
you know the same guy or
What do you mean?
was it in Granville?
No, it wasn't
the
in
Ponzi.
Grand.
The
It was like a Ponzi scheme type thing, but like it wasn't the one we attended. So this was different. This was door to door direct selling, right?
Okay.
So the guy just brings me in, bro. I prepared. I'm like every question they could potentially ask. What's your weakness? What's your strength? How to answer the question. He comes in, has a Scotland flag in the back and a very thick Scottish accent. He's like, oh, where do you think my accent is from? I think, or the way you're saying your these words, certain words, you sound Scottish. It's like, do you know much about Scotland? And then he just chats with me, and I like somehow conversations about EPL, this, that, the other, blah blah blah. And then he goes, okay, I really like how you talk to me. And I'm like, yeah, like I would love to, get to the more, interview question. He's like, no, I've heard enough. I'll speak to you tomorrow. And I just walked out. And I then go home and I'm like Googling this company. I'm like trying to figure out, is this a scam? Is this a scam? I realized I can't find any information on this company.
Yeah.
Straight away, red flag. I don't know why I interviewed. Then lady calls me. It's like, oh, you came interviewed yesterday. We really enjoyed you. We would like you to come in for tomorrow.
We really enjoyed you, eh?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what she
yeah.
said. Okay. And then she says, bring sneakers. I'm like, why? And then she's like, oh, you'll be walking around a lot tomorrow. So yeah, it's just lighter on your feet.
I remember this, bro. There was a fair phase while you were doing this job.
Yeah. And then a month I did this job where you just go.
And you didn't get
as a
paid.
salesman,
You
and then
didn't
I'm
get
like,
paid
I
at
don't know
all.
why I did
Did you
this.
even get paid for that?
No, I
Nah,
didn't.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Damn, bro. How old
like
were you?
19 at the time. So
Younger.
yeah.
So my first construction job, I was at a late age because most of my friends had job in first year of uni. I couldn't get a job and I was kind of desperate. So I had this thing where my current company, the one I work for, they produce a register of 100 big companies in Australia. And they do a PDF ranking company. So I applied it from 1 to 100. I applied it every single company. I thought something's going to come back. Nothing's coming back. I was even more desperate now. So I went Yellow Pages. And Seek Indeed was already done with 100 companies. But I went Yellow Pages and I applied at every construction company in Auburn, Blacktown, Castle Hill,
Yeah.
Cherrybrook, every single area. A company calls me on a Tuesday or on a weekday. And they say, can you come today? I'm like, yeah, for sure, of course. I was working at Aldi at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have a family emergency.
Yeah.
I need to leave.
Yeah.
So they said, family emergency, they can't really stop
Question
you.
it too much,
Question
yeah.
it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, sweet, I'll go. It was a Friday. So I went to the site in Rooty Hills, construction site. As soon as I go to the site, they gave me 2 gloves and they say, start putting the
Cleaning up.
timber in the skip bin.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I asked the guy, like, I came for a career interview. I didn't come here to be a laborer.
Yeah.
I didn't come here to do everything you are asking me to do. He's like, no, it's fine. The best way to learn in construction is being on site.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, you have a point. But then I try to segue into how does he pay, whatever, how
Yeah.
does it work? And he's not having that conversation.
Not entertaining it at all.
No,
yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So it was Friday, luckily.
Yeah.
I had to go Friday prayers.
2 excuses in a day: family emergency
he
and
had
Friday
to also
prayers.
go to Friday prayers.
Okay, yeah.
I was like,
Let's go to same place, brother. Did he say that?
yeah. But I'm Shia.
You're from a different sect.
I'm
bro. I
different
got it.
So I just took my own way.
Yeah.
And going to there, I called my mom Mom, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
She was kind of excited for me. On the way back,
I'm like,
I'm
Mom,
like-
I'm no longer doing this.
I'm like, do you want Wing Shack? Because we're near Blacktown.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That happens, bro.
All right. What do you think your top 2 interview tips are?
Interview tips.
Yeah.
One would definitely be what he said. Like, if you can find a,
Research the company.
research
Yeah,
the
I think
company,
that's
and
super
research the
reviews.
person that's
Yeah.
like recruiting you.
I
as
remember
well.
once, and it was just a Kmart interview for like a job when I was a teenager. But he asked if he knows what like the, I think the overarching company is the parent company.
Yeah.
And one person answered, I think. It was a group interview. One person answered and they were obviously really impressed because they've done it shows that you've done your research
Yeah.
and stuff and you know about the company. And even better if you know about the person and who they work with and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. That would
So
be
I
the
reckon
that
it's a
would be the
huge-
two
And don't
things that-
shit on your previous companies.
Yeah,
Or-
never leave like a bad like, or if they ask you like, or if you've had conflict at your previous workplace, how did you handle it? Don't give like a clear cut example, but like, oh yeah, my place was horrible. Like I was working with idiots over there. Never do that, because then they'll be like, oh, this guy clearly has the issues.
Okay,
That's
so-
why-
Toxic, bro.
yeah,
At my current company, when I left, some of my colleagues wanted to join me. One of the guys, I got him to do an interview.
yeah,
My previous company was very like strenuous. Like you've seen me
Yeah.
work like long hours. So this guy was saying like, they give me too much responsibility, and he was complaining about my previous company
In the interview.
in the interview from directors.
Yeah.
So they obviously refused him.
didn't son work at this previous company as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I talked to the directors, we were at a drink. I wasn't drinking. I was just getting Coke Zero
Yeah.
while they were drinking. And I was like, why did you guys not hire him? He said he really wanted to leave the previous company, then join us. He did not research the company. And he
That was his way out. Like
that was his way out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as a employer, you want person that want to take more responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to have someone that says like, no,
You
they
want
were
someone
over.
that's like, oh, I want to take the next step in my career, and I think your company would be that decision.
Yeah.
That blah, blah,
So
yeah.
when I was talking to my colleague, I was
Yeah.
like complaining about the same things.
Yeah.
But during interview, I was like, no, they taught me so much.
Yeah.
This is the first company they hired me. With,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave with a heavy heart.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure either if I should leave or not.
Yeah.
But I've always dreamt of working at my current. I was
Yeah.
segued into like
Yeah.
that they also are trying to get me
Well,
in.
this guy's great with words, bro. Like, he can make anything into his positive situation.
So I had the same feelings. I didn't want to work there. I handed a resignation before I got the job offer.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell anyone
Yeah.
that I don't have the offer or
Yeah.
whatever. And I told them like, I'm still considering. So they increased their offer.
Do you think you're good at handling conflicts at work?
Am I good at handling conflicts at work? Yes, I think I am. I'll give you. I know why you're asking. Why
No,
you
I'm just asking just a general question. I know you've given us examples,
Yeah.
but like, do you think like if people confront you about your work, or people like bully you for no reason, you'll stand up for yourself?
This is a tough question because like I have had it to me,
Yeah.
and I've done it gracefully, bro.
Yeah, that's the best way to
Like
do it.
because I could have like done the same thing they did,
Yeah.
and they apologized later, and they're sorry, and they realize it's their mistake too.
Yeah.
But now they think everyone thinks I'm a graceful person, while this guy is a psycho person.
Yeah.
Because like so I think
I don't know. I haven't been bullied at work.
I don't think it's
Never.
bullying, more so like just finding faults,
In your
Well,
work.
which they are. Yeah,
With-
I guess
Like, don't exist type of thing. Like,
sometimes they exist.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess I'm not that
perfect. at the, yeah.
confrontation. Because
Yeah.
if someone questions my work and I'm really sure of it,
Yeah.
then I'm like, fuck you, bro. But when I'm not really sure of my work, then
Yeah.
it's those situations where I just shut up.
Yeah.
My first interview at my previous company,
What happened?
the Conte one,
What?
Antonio Conte story.
No, you can tell it again, because
Okay.
I don't recall it that
I don't
well.
recall
Say
it either.
So Chelsea Football Club is a club I support, and
Yeah.
we had a manager from Italy, Antonio Conte.
That was his name?
This was his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this guy is a revolutionary guy. He has
Passionate.
passionate guy. He has changed Premier League football forever. He was the first guy that introduced 3-5-2 formation in England. Now every team uses it. Chelsea, Man City,
Wait, sorry. Is this the Chelsea manager?
Chelsea manager,
Oh, okay.
Ex-manager, yeah.
ex-manager. His current Tottenham manager.
Yeah, okay.
A passionate guy, bro. Like he is like crazy guy.
Yeah.
So when he got hired by Chelsea, he had an interview and he said, he said this dialogue: "I have a burning fire inside me. I'm gonna turn this fire into a blazing inferno."
Yeah.
So at my previous job,
Yeah.
they asked me this question, like, why do you want to work at XYZ?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a burning fire for quantity survey. I want to turn this fire into blazing inferno. I hope they didn't understand my English and they just let it off.
Yeah.
But I think that was pretty cringe.
You
Yeah.
got the job, right?
That's a quote to add on. That's what the FIFA World Cup managers need to be saying to their team, bro. If Australia had heard that this morning, they would have beaten Argentina. Anyway, this has been another episode of the Trash Talk Experience. Thank you for tuning in. You can follow this on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and you can... oh, no, sorry, I missed it. You can follow us on our Instagram and watch this on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.